Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jet Setting Cruise review. Today I'm reviewing my 4-night sailing on the Carnival Valor, which sailed from New Orleans to Cozumel on my voyage. It was my first time cruising out of New Orleans and down the Mississippi, so I was excited to see what was different compared to my normal Caribbean cruising, and I was excited to try out the Valor, which is a sister ship to several other Carnival ships that I've reviewed on the channel. So let's get started, but before we do, if you like this video, give it a like, leave us a comment, and feel free to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. So before my cruise, I stayed the night in downtown New Orleans at the Roosevelt New Orleans, which is a Waldorf Astoria property, and I can't recommend this hotel enough. If y'all are regulars on the channel, you know I post full tours and reviews of everywhere I stay in the world, and I love my points and miles for traveling free, so you can check out the link to the full tour of the Roosevelt below. My fine hotels and resorts rate through my Platinum Amex plus my Hilton Diamond status got me a lot of perks when I checked in for my one-night stay, so I love the free breakfast and the suite upgrade I've received. New Orleans is a great port to sail out of and has an amazing history and tons of great food, so if you are sailing on the Valor, I do recommend staying at least the night in New Orleans before or after your cruise. A quick shout out as well to New Orleans Airport, which has made some major upgrades since the last time I was in New Orleans. It is an amazing transformation and the terminal looks amazing. Same quality as you would see in airports in Asia or the Middle East. So boarding day came and it couldn't have been more simple for me. I decided to walk from the Roosevelt to the cruise port, which is located in a mall on Julia Street, a short walk from downtown. But you can take a short taxi or Uber as well. The airport is about 30 minutes away from port, depending on the traffic. The embarkation process was smooth. The port area itself is a little landlocked, so it was a little crowded outside the terminal when I arrived. But once we were inside, things were very quick and I was on board very quickly. Next, I headed to Guy's Burger Joint for lunch. This is one of my favorite restaurants across the Carnival fleet. It's always something I stop at on the first day because I just really love these burgers, and I'm really surprised to say that, but it's got amazing fries, it's got amazing different toppings that you can choose, so I really recommend that, and that is completely included in your cruise vacation. Shortly after that, my room was ready, so I was excited to check out my balcony cabin. I was lucky that my cabin was facing the Mississippi River. So this is kind of an interesting experience sailing from New Orleans because you're not starting your cruise in the ocean. You're actually starting several miles upriver on the Mississippi. So the first part of your voyage, you're actually sailing from New Orleans to the mouth of the Mississippi. And then finally, you'll enter the Gulf of Mexico. Now, you probably won't notice too much there, but if you are ordering drinks, even if you have bought the drinks package on a Carnival cruise, you will notice the taxes from Louisiana still being charged until you finally exit the mouth of the river around midnight. The casino does open shortly after Sailaway, though, because they have worked out a deal with Louisiana, and Louisiana is famous for their riverboat casino, so technically the cruise ship kind of becomes a riverboat. So in terms of food on board, what I thought, as I already mentioned, I do love the included food on Carnival ships. I think that they do an amazing job for included food compared to similar competitors like Royal Caribbean. I sail with Royal Caribbean a lot, so I have a lot to compare it to, and I just feel like Guy's Burgers and the Blue Iguana Cantina are excellent options for pool food. The buffet is fine. But the main dining food is where things shine, I think, for Carnival. I think their menus are really great. I think the quality of the food is really amazing. Portion sizes are great. So I never hesitate to go dine in the main dining room at Carnival. Can't really say the same thing about Royal Caribbean. I did get a chance to dine at Scarlett's, which is the ship's steakhouse. Now, this menu is going to be the same as any other steakhouse. That's an extra charge on Carnival. They tend to share those menus. I really do like the steakhouse, though. The steakhouse menu is great. Really high quality steaks, excellent service. Some of the best waiters on board, of course, in the upcharged restaurant. Multiple courses here. You do not go home hungry from this restaurant, and I think it's a very good value at $50 per person. So don't hesitate to splurge a little bit on your Carnival cruise and try out Scarlett's on the Carnival Valor. In terms of things to do on board, I think Carnival does a great job of having lots of activities for people on board. So they have bingo, of course, they have the casino, they have a deal or no deal show that is a lot of fun. They have the cruise classics out there in terms of activities like the Love and Marriage game show, which is something I never miss. Just lots of fun activities to get the crowd involved. They really do try on Carnival to get the whole crowd involved with each other, which I think is really, really fun. As someone who sails solo on occasion, it's great just to have that group atmosphere and kind of encourage the introverts like myself to get involved with the fun on board. For the kids, there are several activities on board. Of course, you have Camp Ocean, which is the kids club. It's located on one of the top decks. Lots of activities there just for them throughout the cruise. There is one water slide, though not the fanciest water slide that I've seen on Carnival ships. It's just kind of a simple old style water slide, but still gets the job done. And then I really love the mini golf courses on the Carnival ships. I love the Mayan ruins theme. Now, each cruise line that I sail does their muster drill differently. If you're not familiar with what a muster drill is, it's a safety demonstration that's done before you set sail. Make sure you know how to use the life vests and where to grab your lifeboat if the time arises. Carnival does a great job with this. They tell you where to go. They scan your key card or your boarding pass on a piece of paper, and you are good to go. So I really do love the system here. It's very quick and easy, and you're on to all the other fun embarkation day activities. Now it's time to review the itinerary itself. So this was a 4-night sailing from New Orleans, and generally when I look for itineraries that are 4 nights, I would love to have 2 ports if possible. Now this one, just because of the nature of where New Orleans sits in the Gulf of Mexico, the ship has to cross the whole Gulf of Mexico to get over to Cozumel, so it requires a sea day each direction. So for me, I feel like a 4-day cruise with 2 sea days, with someone who cruises so much, I would rather have more destinations in my 4-day itinerary. Now for people looking for a quick weekend getaway, I think 2 sea days is probably great for them, plus 1 day in Mexico in Cozumel. I love Cozumel. Cozumel is one of my favorite cruise ports. It's also one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. Basically, in the Caribbean, you have Nassau and Cozumel constantly fighting for who has the most cruise ships in port on a given time. But Cozumel does an amazing job of handling cruise ship passengers. There are tons of things to do here. For me, I headed over to a Hyatt property that I hadn't visited yet for the day. I got a room for the day and just enjoyed the beach. It was an all-inclusive resort, so I had drinks and food included as well. But there are a lot of other activities that you can choose to do. Some of my favorites include taking the ferry over to the mainland of Mexico. Cozumel is an island, and heading over to Xcaret. Xcaret is an awesome family-friendly, basically Mexican theme park, water park, where you're river tubing, you're cave tubing. There's lots of Mexico activities. Get a lot of the culture there. It's very touristy, but a lot of fun. I also love heading over to Chancana Beach on Cozumel and doing the snorkeling there. It's actually where I scuba dived for the first time as a kid. It's got amazing coral and a lot of other activities like zip lining and a beach and things like that. There are just a ton of things to choose on Cozumel. You're going to need multiple visits to do it all. There's ATVs that you can rent. There's Jeeps that you can rent and drive around the island. Tons of stuff. But do not miss the food. Don't miss the margaritas if you're a drinker. It's a great time, and I'll never hesitate to head back to Cozumel. Now, to sum it all up, would I cruise on the Valor again? For me, I didn't love the itinerary that the Valor took. I feel like you need more ports for a 4-day cruise. So for me, I wouldn't sail on the Valor again out of New Orleans. The ship itself, condition-wise, I felt needed a lot of work. There was rust on my balcony, needed a dry dock for sure. I've been on some of the sister ships of the Valor and had a great time and just felt fresh and new, especially after a refreshed dry dock. So I do think I have a lot to compare it to, and I think that there's just other Carnival ships out there that I'll choose next time. But if you are close to New Orleans, I wouldn't hesitate getting on board, seeing if cruising is for you. Maybe you're watching this video and you've never taken a cruise before. I think that the Valor is probably a good indicator of whether you're going to enjoy cruising or not. So that is my review of the Carnival Valor. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you all have a great cruise, and we'll see you on the next cruise video.